Here, Your Honor.
All right, good morning. I saw Miss Young was here. There we are. Miss Young, there we go. Okay. So I read the declaration and it looked like the visit went pretty well last weekend. Miss Young, what was your impression?
It was nice. We went to the movie and I got some one-on-one time with her. We went to the park. And again, it was good. I just feel like we could still do the same thing, just us. It went well. It was definitely, she was nice.
All right, Mr. Miller, any comments?
Yeah, actually I do. So
Okay.
I've been under the impression from like my girlfriend and Taylor and my girlfriend have been talking that Taylor wants to just settle this. She wants to just get along with the parenting plan. That's my impression. Yeah, I'm under the impression that Taylor was going to bring it up in court today, but I just beat her to the punch, I think.
What's your position on that?
Mine is
No, I'm talking to Mr. Miller right now.
Okay.
What do you mean? Like,
I mean,
like, how do I think on that?
well, there's a temporary parenting plan that calls for unsupervised visits basically every other weekend. That's an
Right.
order that was in effect until we changed it because I think it was Drew Stewart came into the picture and he had some issues and we wanted to make sure that your daughter wasn't in contact with him. My
yeah,
understanding, he's out of the picture at this time.
completely.
So,
He-
what's your position on unsupervised visits every other weekend, Mr. Miller?
I don't have an issue with it.
Okay. All right. Ms. Young, what's your position on that?
But time out, please. I do want to like make it clear though, we're all on the same page that my daughter comes home. That's all I ask. That she comes home, she's back here for school. That's it.
And I proposed something else too, but you guys haven't responded to it. And I'm waiting for my attorney as well. But
What, so tell me what's your position on the, if we re-implemented the current temporary parenting plan?
well, he wanted to be every other weekend during the summer, every other week during the summer, and every other weekend during the school year. But I wanted it to be, we just switch it. I get her for the whole summer. He gets her every other weekend. And then I get her on the weekends during the school year. I feel like that's the only way fair. If not, I feel like she belongs to be with me 5 days a week, because this every other weekend, I don't feel like that's another 2 weeks going without seeing her. So I said, if you guys really don't want to move her in school, then she lives with me for the breaks and for the entire summer. That's 3 months out of the year that she can live with me.
I can't allow Malaya to go all summer.
Mr. Miller, let's just listen.
Okay.
Right now.
And
Okay.
she would still get every other weekend. That'd be the same thing as 9 months of the year when she's in school, that I'd have to see her every other weekend. So why can't I have her during the summer? Because the big thing was that she's in school. Well, when she's not in school, she should be able to be with me. I've had her for 5 years of her life. This just started. And the only reason she hasn't been with me is because Cameron was keeping her from me. That's
We're not
why.
going to go down that road because that's not what we're even talking about. We're not going tit for tat. We're trying to settle it, Taylor.
I'm not going tit for tat at all. I'm just stating that if you want her for the school year, I feel like I should get her for the summer.
Okay, I need both of you to listen now. I'm going to ask Ms. Corey to weigh in on this.
I don't think we're near finding a final solution. I think going back to the previous temporary parenting plan is a good call. And obviously this investigation needs to be completed before we can find some common ground. As of yet, Mr. Miller has actually, we have had a Zoom appointment, and that's all. I have not received payment from him as of yet, going on a couple of months now. So But
Well, I'm
I
not
see,
making no payment until everything's done. That's how I work. When the job's completed, that's when I pay. It's no different than running a business. When the job's completed is when payment is received.
The problem with that is if you don't like the conclusion at the end of the job, then you can walk away and not pay. And that leaves guardian ad litems vulnerable. So
Well,
they
even
need
if
to be
me-
paid as we go along.
Well, if me and Taylor figure it out, then she was actually brought in for no reason.
Well, obviously, we didn't figure it out.
Well,
But we
that
haven't
is
even really talked about it yet, Taylor, have we?
all right. No speaking right now. I want to find, just a moment here. All right, I encourage the parties to reach a resolution, but for right now, I'm looking at the temporary parenting plan. And it calls for every other weekend from Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6. And it calls for the drop off and pickup location at GC's truck stop. And what I want to do is,
Could we move it a little closer? Because I drive like almost an hour and they drive 15 minutes.
Not 15 minutes to Gigi's truck stop.
here's what I'm looking at is rather than make changes, what I want to do is implement what the court already decided. And then I'm going to tell you what the potential next step is, okay? So Ms. Young saw Malaya on the
Malaya.
17th. If we go every other weekend, that means it's July 1st or June 30th and July 1st and 2nd would be the next weekend.
I talked them, I do have a family reunion from the 27th to the 3rd that I wanted to take her to.
Well, you'll have her there part of that time.
Because it's in Spokane. But I'd love her to meet that side of the family.
Again, right now, I'm going to stick with the temporary parenting plan that was in effect, that was entered on September 22nd, 2022. So it's going to be Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6. If you and Mr. Miller can come to an agreement as to what would be a final parenting plan, then I encourage you to do that. Otherwise, I think your next step is to set this for a trial regarding a permanent parenting plan. And you would have to put that on what's called the Universal Trial Setting Calendar, which is on Wednesday at 1 p.m. And then if you can't come to an agreement, you can each present your case as to what parenting plan should be. That's at that time, Ms. Young, you can explain to the court that you'd like Malaya all summer if she's going to stay with Mr. Miller all winter or all school year. So that's where you would make that argument. Okay.
Your Honor, if I was to accept like her offer for her having Malaya all summer, would I not see Malaya at all summer?
I think it would essentially switch. You would have to
Yeah.
see her every other weekend.
Okay.
But
So
then we
during
can
the,
communicate.
what I hear her saying is during the school year, she would get every other weekend. During the summer, you would get every other weekend.
Okay.
That would be the proposal.
And then we have breaks. We split them like Christmas. We split them.
Sure, you'd have to figure out spring break, Christmas break, and other holidays, how you're going to handle that. You'd have to
Okay.
handle, if Mr. Miller wanted to spend a week on a vacation with Malaya during the summer, you might have to factor that in.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm implementing the temporary parenting plan, unsupervised visits, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6. And I encourage you to work together if you can and come up with a plan going forward. You can both sign off on it and send it to me and I'll sign off on it.
Is
Or
the training
you-
order lifted to where I can actually talk to her, or do I still only have scheduled visits?
let me see if there's a note here about that. Do you have any objection to a telephone call, Mr. Miller?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's limit it to once a week. So that would be 2 calls in between your visits for right now. And then again, you and Mr. Miller can speak and I hope you come up with an agreement. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Corey, anything you'd like to add?
It seems like my services aren't wanted in this case. May I be excused?
Yes, at this point you
Sure.
can. Mr. Miller, you're still required to pay Ms. Corey
I wanted
for
her
the
in
time that
it,
she put in.
if she don't mind.
What's that?
I still want her in it. My attorney hasn't responded to me or anything. I have no idea what's going on.
All right. I don't know that I was going to set another review hearing here because I think either you're going to come to an agreement or you need to set it for a trial.
But if Twyla doesn't mind, I'd still like to have a conversation with her.
Ms. Corey?
I don't mind staying on the case, but I would like to be paid for my time.
Yeah.
And the court's policy, as well as my policy, is that I be paid ahead of time, and I hold that money. If there is any left over after completing the job, then that would be refunded to Mr. Miller.
Okay.
To Miller or me? Because since Miller didn't
To
pay.
both.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll set a review. I'm going to set this out of ways. I'll set a review for July 27th. And that will be to look at the status of payment. The court has the ability of entering a judgment against one party or the other if there's no payment. And I may consider that at that time.
Yep.
Okay,
What was the review date again? I'm sorry.
you bet. July 27th. That's a Thursday at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, I hope you can come to an agreement. Okay, thank you.